Hi guys, it's Christiane with the Science Jam. Today we are going to talk about thermodynamics. I know that's a big word, but thermodynamics is the study of how materials behave in relation to temperature, pressure, volume, and how they change. So we're going to do a series of experiments, excuse me, where first we're going to suck an egg into a glass bottle. So the egg is going to be bigger than the hole, but we're going to suck it in. And then we're going to work with some hand boilers, which are a fun toy that you can find and purchase online. So hopefully you're able to gather some supplies, like a glass bottle, a lighter or a match, thick paper, like a note card or construction paper, and a hard-boiled egg. I actually have two here that I made. So first things first, I know I said to have your shell off of your egg, but I actually have not gotten the shell off of my egg yet. So I am going to do that while we wait to see if a couple people join. I've read on, see if I can peel, how easily I can peel it. I did the whole soak it in cold water trick, which is supposed to work, but we'll see. It's coming pretty easily. Don't want to crack it. I mean, it's hard boiled, but you know. Oh, looks like I have some friends joined us. Hi, Susan. Okay, here's my egg, and you can see it does not fall into the bottle. So just stays right up there. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna set my eggshell here to the side and set my egg over here for a moment. Slide this out of the way so you guys can see my egg. What you wanna do is take your paper and maybe if it's a note card, tear it in half. We're gonna want to be able to drop it quickly into here. Okay, so this is the time to get mom or dad, grandma, grandpa, your adult friend to help you. What we're going to do is you're going to you can either drop this in there if your match is long enough, but I find it easier to light your paper. That's why we have a big piece of paper, is you're gonna light the end of your piece of paper on fire, and then you're going to drop it into your bottle. So this is definitely, we need adults to help with this part of the experiment, okay? And right after we drop that in, I'm gonna pick up my egg and I'm gonna set it on top of my bottle, okay? Ready? Get this nice on fire, okay. You guys see that? My egg kind of got destroyed in the process. My egg fell apart, but it got sucked in. So, why does that happen? Well, do you guys know what happens whenever air gets hot? Does it expand or contract? Or does it expand or does it contract? Well, hot air actually expands. And so what happens is that whenever we light the piece of paper on fire and we drop it in there, the air inside the bottle gets quite warm because of the fire. But when we put the egg on, it actually suffocates the fire, because if you guys remember in week 1 when we talked about fire, we learned that the 3 things that are in the fire triangle are oxygen, fuel, and heat. So when we block the entrance to the bottle with the egg, we block the ability for the fire to have oxygen. So it burns up all the oxygen here in the bottle, and then the fire goes out. Well, when the fire goes out, the air in the bottle cools because of thermodynamics. The air outside of the bottle is cooler than the air inside, so that heat actually wants to dissipate into the room, and this air inside the bottle cools down. And when air cools down, it shrinks, and it actually creates a little bit of a vacuum, just like on your vacuum cleaner, and sucks the egg into the bottle. So that is how this experiment works. And now we're going to look similarly at a hand boiler and how that works. So later, right after the experiment, I'll post a link to this that tells you step by step how to do it in case the video, something doesn't work. So a hand boiler, this is a fun toy that you can get online. Look up hand boiler on Amazon or just on Google and you'll be able to find one to buy. They're not that expensive, maybe between $5 and $8. And so what I'm gonna do is, let's see, how warm are my hands? My hands are pretty warm, but I'm gonna go ahead and warm them up a little bit more. So what we're doing is we're rubbing our hands together to create friction. Friction is when two things rub together and it ends up creating some heat. So my hands are nice and warm now, and I'm gonna wrap my hand around the bottom here, and look. It looks like my hand made this boil. Well, I'm gonna put my hand back here on the top and send it all the way back down. I'll do it one more time for you guys, and I'll see if I can, I'm trying to show you, there we go, a little bit slower, and if you can see how the liquid rises out of the bottom compartment and into the top compartment. Well, what's happening here? Well, whenever I have the liquid here in the bottom and the gas, this is actually ethanol, which is ethyl alcohol. This vapor here, similar to the way that in the air, this vapor, when it's warmed up by my hand, it expands, because remember, hot expands. So when this expands, it has to push that liquid somewhere, and that liquid goes up the straw and into the top compartment. So that is what's going on with the hand boiler. And then there's an even, I think, more fun version of this. So I'm gonna take this hand boiler, and what I'm gonna do is I'm going to invert this into, I have a cup of ice water here. And let's see what happens. This one takes a little bit longer. You see how this is getting foggy? But the liquid is actually going down slightly. So I'm gonna leave this right. You guys see just a little bit of liquid that's forming in here? What's actually occurring is that this is warmer than down here. And so it's causing evaporation of the ethyl alcohol into this vapor space. And it is wanting to then it goes down into the bottom and condenses because it's colder there. If you do this long enough, and I'll post a link online or on the comments, you will actually get the alcohol to evaporate and condense down in the bottom compartment, and all you'll be left with in the top compartment is the dye, is the food coloring. It's pretty cool. So this is another fun one. I'm gonna tilt this over, see if I can get it to stay, and we'll slide this one to the side. So I just wanted to talk about a couple other things that you might be familiar with. Have you guys ever frozen a water bottle? I should have frozen one and then I could have shown it to you. But if you ever freeze a water bottle, water is actually a little bit different. When water freezes, it expands. And think about that. We talked about when things get colder, they actually contract normally. But water is an interesting molecule, and that when it freezes, it actually expands. So if you ever freeze a water bottle, you might see that the top gets a little popped up, or if you as it thaws, you open it, it might squirt at you, or the bottle will swell a little bit. That's because frozen water, ice, takes up more volume which is the amount of space something takes up, than water itself. But the same thing happens if you guys have ever been on an airplane, or hopefully we'll all get to go on an airplane again sometime soon. Whenever you're on the airplane, whenever you take off and then you get into up into the sky, your water bottle might be really pressurized and tight. But if you open it, it'll go shh. And then if you ever have done the opposite, where you've been drinking your water bottle and then you put it, and whenever you get down to the bottom, after you land, your water bottle might be all shrunk. And that has to do with pressure. And it's because the pressure high in the atmosphere is lower than the pressure here on the ground. And so think about it. The pressure inside your water bottle, when you screw it tight, when you're up in the air, is lower. And so when you bring that water bottle down, the pressure outside in the atmosphere is higher whenever you're on the ground. And so it's a lot like what we were talking about, the pressure here in the bottle, is that this is a glass bottle, and that's why we use a glass bottle, is because it won't get, if we try to do the egg experiment with a plastic bottle, the bottle would just crush in. So that's why it's important to use glass for the egg experiment. So that's really all I have about thermodynamics today. Let's see. You can see a little bit of the alcohol has condensed there. Let's see if I can accelerate this. With my hands. I'm trying to warm it up a little bit so it'll evaporate. I got a little bit more. This one takes a little bit, and you'll see the link online. So that was all I have for today for the Science Jam, and I hope to see you next week. I'll try to post the supply list on Wednesday or well, definitely by Thursday, but on Wednesday to give everyone a little bit extra time. If you have any further questions regarding thermodynamics, egg in a bottle, hand boilers, or anything like that, feel free to drop me a comment and I'll answer it. And otherwise, look forward to seeing you guys next week. Bye!